Can you say Spa FP2? Let's go! I cannot wait. I am muy entusiasmado and I'm listo to race. This is going to be epic. What are we saying? It's all kicking off, isn't it? Belgium, and again another inception point as far as the 2024 season is concerned, is it not? What's going to happen with Checo Perez? Are Red Bull going to be able to return to dominance around the track that they've had so much success over the past couple of years? Is this going to be McLaren's coming to dominance? 13, just having a look at Max Verstappen. 13 zip is Max Verstappen beating one Checo Perez in qualifying. 12-1 head-to-head in races. Wins 7 zip. 265 points, has placed 124. What are we doing, Checo Perez? I want to empathise with you, Checo, but your performance isn't good enough. What are we doing? Eddie Safak. You never know what the Andines. Oh, the humanity. I don't know what to make of this. Go on then, let's talk about FP1. Because Max Verstappen looked quick, didn't it? There were upgrades as far as Red Bull are concerned. And Max looks like spiteful Maximilian Verstappen. He's not coming to play here. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't put it past him to nail this Grand Prix. He only needs a safety car. Of course, he's got a 10-place grid penalty, but he will be the fastest qualifier. So he will start from 11th place. Take that one to the bank. If I'm a betting man, again, you can see in already in this session, he was materially quicker, right? 4/10 up on Checo Perez, at least. I think it might have been more as at the end of the session. So what are we doing? You know what I mean? He's going to be rapid. Checo Perez already talking about he's struggling around the slower hairpin S turns that so characterise Sector 2. It's going to be techie for him, Checo Perez. And again, the story season to date isn't that he's dropped off massively. It's that everybody else has caught up. Being 2 to 3 tenths adrift of your teammate last year would have meant that you would place second or third, right? Podium settings. But that same delta this year means that you're going to be in 6th, 7th or 8th. And that's ultimately what Checo Perez has fallen foul of. Some other things that I want to talk about quickly as we are a couple minutes away, T-minus 7 minutes away from a FP2, an all-important free practice 2 session. What's going on, Leroy? Def Reaper, I hope you're good. Chiba, Bruno, Alta, Alpine. I don't know what's going on. I will get onto Alpine at some point. Flotsam and Jetsam F1. What are they doing? I mean, nonsense. I feel sorry. I don't even like Pierre Gasly, I'll be honest with you, but I feel sorry for him at this point. He doesn't deserve this. What's he done to deserve this? Flotsam and Jetsam F1. Like experts in failure more than they are in success. And once upon a time they were goats, weren't they? Renault. That Alf Renault Williams of 93 and 92. Like, mate, that was levels. They were the Mercedes split turbo hybrid of that era, but mate, something's gone wrong. Senior stakeholders not bought in. Like, what are we doing here? Nonsense. Go on, and there's something I want to talk about. Have you seen Max Verstappen talking? He was asked by Craig Slater about the simulator stuff, and he's chimed in and he said something very specific, and I was like, I've heard those words before. What's going on here? And you guys do your due diligence. Always do your own research and fact check me, because nobody bats 1,000 in this. As much due diligence as I tried to do myself, and content time that I spend consuming F1 content, you know what? You never bat 1,000. Max Verstappen, when asked about okay, here's what's happened. Helmut Marko came out in his Motorsports Week article that he does every single week, and he said, you know what? Max won't be we've agreed Max won't be sim racing at 3 a.m. anymore. David Croft on the internationally syndicated Sky Sports broadcast, he attributed Max Verstappen's poor performance directly to staying up at 3 a.m. the morning of race. And you know what? I'm not even going to lie. It doesn't, as little as I understand about high performance and what's required, especially from an F1 perspective. What do I know? Nothing. But I tell you what, if I'm going karting the next day, I'm not staying at karting. Not for money, not for billions of pounds, absolutely not for 25 points in an F1 season. But if I'm going karting, There's no way that I'm staying up till 3 a.m. and I don't even take my things seriously, right? Maybe Max is good enough to get away with it, but maybe not. Like, how do you know? And Max, when asked the question, he said, every time something goes wrong, people always try and do the epiphany thing, like connect the dots in hindsight. Hindsight's always 2020, and whenever we lose or experience difficulty, as we are T-minus 5 minutes away from a cheeky FP2 at the Belgian Grand Prix. Max said, anytime something goes wrong, you can always look back and say, well, I didn't go to the toilet before the race, as an example. Maybe I shouldn't have stayed up at 3 a.m, but ultimately it's all hindsight, and everybody bats 1,000 in hindsight. Everybody can be a genius Monday morning or armchair quarterback after the fact. Max said that he doesn't like to do that. And then Max continued. And he said, you know what? Here's what you need to know about this 3 a.m. nonsense and the sim racing business. I'm a 3-time champion. I know what I'm doing, said Max. And I've heard those words before, I'm going to be honest with you. I couldn't tell where initially. I was thinking about all the gazillions of podcasts that I consume. I thought, let me go and check Peter Windsor. And Peter Windsor, when summarising his thoughts on Sim Race Gate, he said exactly the same thing. He said, is Max Verstappen over 21 years old? I think he is. Is Max Verstappen not a 3, soon to be 4-time champion? I think he is. I think then, Peter said, Max will definitely know what he's doing. I was like, oh my gosh, is Max watching Peter Windsor? It's that even the way, the order in which he said it, right? The first thing that he said is like, I'm a 3-time champion. I think I know what I'm doing. That's exactly the way that Peter Windsor delivered it. Maybe our man Max Verstappen is watching the goatiest F1 broadcasters to ever have goated in Peter D. Windsor. I thought that was it, more maybe just a coincidence. Maybe I'm connecting dots that should not be connected. But I think Mr. Max Verstappen is watching our old mate Peter D. Windsor. Telling you, I think that's beyond coincidental. That's the exam answer. We now know why Fernando jumped ship so quickly, said Chiba. Flotsam and Jetsam F1 is what Alpine are doing. It's honestly, how could you lose after what Oscar's doing? I mean, that's proof positive last race that are we going to get rain? We are going to get rain. T-minus 2 minutes away from FP2. Potentially rain. Okay, it's going to get techie. 40% risk of rain for this session. Wow. But I heard that there was no risk for quali and no risk for the race. I'm going to get techie here. And again, who does it favour? If you're a betting person, changeable conditions. Where are you placing your money? You told me. Eddie says, Max telling all the haters to hold his privacy. He doesn't care, does he? He doesn't care. I wish that he wouldn't swear though, Eddie. I'll be honest with you. I don't think he does himself any favours leaning into some F-bombs. He doesn't need to do that. I know that who am I to tell him what to do? 3 soon to be 4-time champion. I'm not going to proselytise him as far as his intonation nor his choice of linguistic. Like I can't. I'm not going to. I don't want to do that. You know me, I hate the gatekeeping thing. However, with my little man downstairs, 3 soon to be 4 years old, like every other word that comes out of his mouth at the moment is Max Verstappen. Like I don't want to have to justify necessarily the beeping of Max's pit rate. That's my subjectivity. Do you know what I mean? Techie. Lewis Hamilton too. Death Reaper. He might be what Death Reaper. I'm telling you. I need to go back and watch the last chat that I had with Peter. I don't think Peter, when talking about the whole Max and sim racing thing, I don't think Peter said it in that order. On his stream, Peter's, he was quite specific. He was like, is Max older than 21 years old? I think he is. Is he 3 soon to be 4-time champion? I think he is. Well, then I think he knows what he's doing. He was very strict in that order. When Max responded to our man Craig Slater, it was the same order. So again, I'm connecting dots. Maybe I'll shut up. Maybe he's watching South Africa. Imagine. I'm sure he would have watched a video or two. I'm sure. We are a couple, well, less than 60 seconds away from a session. 265 points is Max Verstappen in the lead at the driver's standing, followed by one Lando and Norris. I would love to hear their conversations, Lando and Max, to see what they're discussing. How's their relationship now? You know what I mean? Can you genuinely be friends if we want the same thing in one of the most highly pressurized sports in global sports history? Like, I don't know. I don't know. His answer was to Lewis, because Lewis said that he was not a true champion. So Lewis, in Lewis's defence, I don't think Lewis said that Max wasn't a true champion. He was asked about. He said something to the effect of, "You need to act like a champion." And when asked what acting like a champion was, he was like, "Well, not like how Max was behaving last race with the F-bombs, the communication with GP, telling fans to go and fudge off in no uncertain terms." I don't know. You can pick that apart. Low-hanging trope, what Lewis is saying. The archetypal champion, the Sterling Moss type. Yeah, of course they're not going to F-bomb. But like, it's 2024. Not to like, Lewis is my guy, right? But if we're playing devil's advocate for a second, like, what does a champion look like? Not on paper, but like genuinely. Like, what is it to be a champion, if not winning championships? That's your base criteria, right? Your hygiene factor. Requisite. Oh, there we go. Listen to that. Ted Kravitz reiterating that the great drivers who have taken advantage of Renault engines to win championships. Damon, Alain Prost. Oh, what are we doing? Oh, wow. Bruno Faman gone. What? Are we breaking some news out here, chat? Bruno Faman is gonzo. Oh, right, breaking news. Get to the chopper. Wow. I feel like Joe Sayward in his newsletter predicted this, a couple of weeks back. Wow. There we go. No more Renault engines. We've talked about that already. But they were going to do that because they didn't want to. The investment requisite to build yourself a proper machine, R&D, it's looking like $90 million US, eh? Blimey. Who's going to be the new team principal? Oliver Oakes, hot contender. Up, McLaren, stopped out on track. Why did they get rid of Otmar Safnauer though? Can you imagine Gunther Steiner as well? I don't know. Who you guys tell me who's going to replace Bruno Bama? Oh wow. Oh wow. Crofty asked the question: is Oakes coming in as a stopgap for High Tech to come and take over Alpine? Wow. Oh, the humanity. My whole life, I've been functioning alcoholic, staying up till 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. I was still performing at work and holding on to a job for 3 or 4 years at a time. Sober, not... Eddie, salute, sir. That final sentence means a lot, mate. Like, keep going, chap. One foot in front of the other. Like I've... props, sir. Do you know what I mean? Felicidades, Eddie. Jit says it's a Dutch thing, really. We Dutch don't care about swearing. I know, Jits, it's techie, isn't it? This is yeah, maybe Max wants to tone it down just a tad, just a tad. Not in his personal life, but when the world is listening and watching. Like, do you know what I mean? Kyra, what's going on? Good morning, sir. I think that's when any of the champions discuss Max being shouty, they all have something lurking in the shades themselves. Lewis, Ligate, Hamilton as an example. Jay's techie. Go on, let me push back on you, Jay, though, like that. Those in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. I get it. But Ligate was like 1,000 years ago. I was having a conversation with somebody about this, and they leveraged something that was like, do you know what I mean? I was talking to them something about that was contemporary as an instance and evidence. And they were like, well, what about this? And the what about this was like, it's something completely unrelated. F1 fans the F1 community at large does have a brilliant way of doing this whataboutery. And then when you check it out, the whataboutery has absolutely nothing to do with the subject topic of the moment. I'm like, well, you can do that if you want to. Like, what's that got to do with the price of bread, Jay? Ligate. Nobody's saying that Lewis is like, mate, I could, if you want to go into the Lewis Hamilton bag of faux pas, like there are very many, but why are we doing that now? Are we saying that Lewis is like living in a glass house throwing stones? I don't know. Passing comment now. I don't know. Thoughts on Alpine livery? I like it, Death Reaper. I tell you what, Death Reaper, you know, I'll say this. At the Goodwood Festival of Speed, there is an old Alpine. If you go back and watch the videos, they're littered on YouTube. There was an old Alpine, and I feel like Sophia Fleusch drove it up the hill. Oh my God. That car looked incredible. Yeah, the liveries. I'm not really a big fan of the seasonal variants in liveries just for like promotion of a film or something. Like, whatever. But that Alpine that went up the hill a couple of weeks back at Goodwood, I don't remember. I was looking at that car. I was like, how did that car look so incredible? I do not remember it. Oh, we need to get some, excuse me, I need to get some things up, don't I? So that we can see things, because I'm numpty. Of course. Right, let's go. Again, all of the metrics that you're about to see brought to you by our mates over at Multiviewer. If you enjoy some metrics and some value added viewing, then be sure to go and download Multiviewer. It's free. Free. Costs nothing. What are you doing? What are you doing? Right, Bernie Collins is getting a talk on around the weather conundrum, right? Are you going to be able to get in enough due diligence? Basically, you need to make sure that you're sufficiently set up for the race, isn't it? Right, let's go. Bernie saying, oh gosh, Bernie saying, oof. Bernie saying that turn 10 and 11 is where Mr. Verstappen is gaining his time. It's going to be Kaz. 10 to 15 kph faster than the other cars going through that section. Yeah, of course, mate. Mate. He's a beast around here. And the car's not bad either, is it? And it's gonna get a bit techie. Martin down at turn 2. Let's go. Donate that. Eau Rouge is the Red River. I did not know this. I should have known though. Me being a numpty. I love it when Brundle gets trackside like this and starts talking about how he can smell the... Oh. No one's lifting for Eau Rouge. And again, this speaks to the fact that these... Let's go. Let us go. Brad Pitt. What's Brad Pitt doing? Sick and tired of this F1 film, you know, I'll be honest with you. Just go away. Like, I'm not interested. Not scorched earth settings, but like, what's the point? Like, just go away. Even what's the point? What are they gonna? Are we gonna see like real drivers in this F1 film? Feels like a culturation to me. I'll be honest with you. Ted Kravitz is one of those minds at Sky Sports. You get when paying £1,000 a year. Bloody no, Jay. You're not a big fan. I get. I like myself some Ted Kravitz. I'll be honest with you. Just listening to Martin watching the cars on the compression going through Eau Rouge. Harry flatters Martin V on the F1 euphemisms and analogies. Harry flatters. Do you know what I mean? What are you saying? Harry flatters. Let's go. All right. Let's go. Let us. Who said anything about safe? We need to fight in the turns. Yeah, it's a bit rubbish, isn't it, Eddie? I saw that trailer and I was just like, mate, do you want to make the film any more cringy? I don't know. And I love me some Brad Pitt. 7. What's in the box? I mean, tell me a better acting performance than that, right? David, what's his face in in 7? Like he was proper. Not sure if Brad Pitt knows, but overtaking doesn't happen in a oh mate. Jits. Could be like the movie Grand Prix from 1972. That's a very nice F1. I think I have watched it before, but I need to rewatch. Couldn't speak to it very eloquently. Peter talked a lot last year about how short corner driver benefit through sector 2 of Spa. I think that means Oscar will beat Lando this weekend. So, a lot of lap time to be gained during sector 2. And that means that sometimes some of these drivers will dial up the downforce. They'll sacrifice through Eau Rouge and sector 3 with a view to gain back more than they've lost through sector 2. So you'd imagine that Checo Perez will be good through sector 2. It's techie. And yeah, as far as the short corners, somebody sent me, I'll tell you guys this. Somebody sent me a message once talking about Oscar Piastri, that once upon a time in a previous life, he was like a serious high level radio control guy, like a radio control car guy. And the quickest way through those radio control cars is to do what Peter talks about, right? The short corners, to like manipulate the front end into it with a view to save lap time by saving like traveling less track, like shortening the geometric racing line or whatever. And Oscar Piastri he's had a career of radio control cars doing that, eh? So I don't know. What do you guys make of Lewis Hamilton talking? He said, Lewis Hamilton, cool down room, Lando, nothing to see here. I don't know, man. It feels like the drama off track again has done one of these, hasn't it? As we are T-minus 46 minutes. Why is my nose itching for? I must be telling porkies. 46 minutes remaining of this session. FP2. Who said everything was safe? Yeah, we've done that already, had they? Hey Cameron, this is an update on the front wing of the Aston Martin. I haven't looked at the updates yet. I'll be honest. I know that there's a Red Bull upgrade, but again, because I was running so late jumping onto this stream, I haven't looked at it yet. We'll talk about it for FP3, I promise. You've been punching the clock this week on the interwebs, Cam. I hope you're getting overtime pay and rest. Mate, EC, you're a legend. The joke is, EC, I haven't been sticking to the schedule. I've been shortchanging you. I've got to bring myself to the pulpit and apologise. I've been slipping, EC. Here's what it was supposed to be. Shakedown got filmed yesterday, but your boy Cameron botched it and muted. There's a half an hour brilliant conversation with Shez and Baxley. Both of those guys were operating on like it was incredible. Blockbuster half an hour conversation, but your boy Cameron dropped the ball, didn't he? What an absolute numpty. So bad. Just the worst. So you are owed some content. I'm going to try and do something to that podcast and get it out at some point, you know. Oh, here he is. Bear with, chat. I will be back, I promise. Just need to do something very, very quickly. Bear with. Apologies. That afternoon cap. Apologies. Sometimes you gotta balance the books, eh? Do you know what I mean? No, apologies. You got sucked into a parallel dimension. Absolutely did, Patrick. Kenny, I've seen that, but it wasn't worth remembering. I actually had to look it up, but if I've seen it before. Red Bull saving engines. Haven't they got a penalty? So Matt's got a 10 grid place penalty today. Rain in some parts of the track, I'm told. It's all getting techie. Everything looks visually decent now. Not the reason I might be going to the movies. Weak storyline. I'm just not buying it, Jack. I'm not interested in it. Hasn't captured my imagination for whatever that's worth. Grumpy Cameron is what's going on today. Not Scorched Earth, but if I'm talking about that F1 film with Brad and just not interested. T-minus 40 minutes to the end of this session. And it's going to get techie. What these guys need to do, again, for the avoidance of doubt, free practice, due diligence, fact-finding, but changeable conditions might make the waters blurry, murky even. You almost want, if you are these teams, what you want to do is come to the track and have the same, even if it's raining, you just want the conditions to be consistent over all sessions, right? So that you can carry forward your due diligence and your research and your fact finding into the next session, set up the car, understand how the deg, like the profile of the deg, etc. Manipulate the aero platform, like, you know what I mean? You learn and learn and learn and develop, and ultimately then come the pace sessions, the Q1, Q2, Q3 in the race, you know what you're doing and your feet are on firm ground. But if it starts raining in this session, which apparently 10 kilometers away is the prognostic for the weather forecast, that rain is a coming. If indeed rain is a coming, then Houston, we have a problem though. No, that's not good. No bueno. Oh dear. 160 if you're watching currently, do me a favour and smash a like as I jump back and forth. We are 39 minutes remaining of this FP2. Can you say FP2? There's lots going on. I'm getting a bit techie, aren't I, Bonapartist? It's very techie all the time at the moment. Everything is techie. Oh, the humanity. Did you guys see me destroy Lance Stroll the other day? What is he doing? Who is he? Got no time for that chap at all. So bloody grumpy and disrespectful all the bloody time. Like, why is he? What's his problem? How can you be an F1 driver and be so bloody grumpy all the bloody time? Like, what's the point? Just go. If you don't listen, I said it on that video, yeah, and I'll say it again for the avoidance of doubt. If you don't like your job, Lance Stroll, then don't come to work, chap. How are you slumped over? You're an F1 driver and you've got to answer a couple of questions at the press conference. How are you slumped over like some belligerent teenager trying desperately not to answer the questions? The journo's flown from wherever they have in the world to pitch up and ask you some questions, Lance Stroll, and you're pretending like you can't even hear. Dial in, chap. No wonder you're so rubbish in the car if you can't even understand, you can't even hear and understand or pay attention or respect to the journos that are asking you questions. What are you talking about, Lance Stroll? It makes no sense. Honestly, beggars belief. I'm desperately trying to rein in scorched earth Cameron and keep my blood pressure down. But at this point in time, what is the point, Lance Stroll? Just go, like, WTA waits you, chap. Go and play tennis. Now, genuinely, if you want to go and play tennis, go and play tennis. Give that seat up to somebody else who wants it. Felipe Drugovich, Teo Pourchaire, Maloney, Isaac Hadja, any one of those guys, Herta. Like, do you know what I mean? Gazillion drivers will bite your hand off for a chance to drive that car, like, and you're sat here just disrespecting the whole circumstance as if, do you know what I mean? I look at Lance Stroll. I really wanted to say this in the video, but I lost my mind. I look at Lance Stroll and I would die if in 10, 15 years, but from now, when my son's that age, if I see my son behaving like that, I will know that I have failed as a father. That's my honest opinion. I desperately don't want that to happen. I would be very, very upset. Belligerent, lack of respect, lack of gratitude. Like, what are we doing? You're an Aston Martin driver, chap. You're representing your dad's brand. Sit up in your chair, Lance. Surely, as a bare minimum, is that so difficult to ask? And you know what? The irony's not lost on me. I feel a bit lonely out there, says Carlos Sainz. Speaking of feeling a bit lonely, Carlos Sainz must have felt lonely being the one true racing driver on that couch for that driver's press conference now. All the rest of them, Flotsam and Jetsam, who was there? K-Mag, get rid of him. Bloody Danny Rick, take or leave Danny Rick. Lance Stroll, strike him off. Do you know what I mean? The only other ones that you were lacking on there, if you're going to have a full quota of Flotsam and Jetsam F1 drivers, of course, Zhou Guanyu. Bottas, maybe I was a bit harsh saying Bottas, but Bottas take or leave. If he left tomorrow to go and do his coffee shops or whatever and do his triathlons, I wouldn't miss him. But Logan Sargent, absolutely 100%. And Checo Perez, put him in there as well. Flotsam and Jetsam F1. Celebrating mediocrity GP. What are we doing? Nonsense as Oscar Piastri goes purple on a 132. What are we... Honestly, beggars belief. I don't mean to keep going on about it, but I don't know. I needed to cover that more comprehensively. I feel like I let Lance Stroll off the hook the other day when I was diatribing, going in on him. There were certain points that I needed to make, not least of which, if I ever catch my son behaving, comporting in a way that's anything similar to that, I'm going to lose my mind. I feel like I will have failed as a father. Life of a live streamer, I'm telling you, it's bonkers. Got you on, Tomo. You and your brain look strong. I know Sky Sports is watching. I hope they're ready for your purple sectors for the rest of the year. EC, you're a legend. I don't even know if I'd go on Sky's, but I don't know. Sometimes certain content creators aren't destined for like not genuine mainstream success. I see it in mixed martial arts. There's a guy that's doing bits in mixed martial arts, but he's just fringe enough to where he's never invited. He'll never be invited on ESPN. He's even doing better numbers than ESPN MMA. Hopefully at some point, chat. Hopefully in the next couple of years, maybe we'll get there. But the thing on Tomo, I want to address that thing on Tomo. Tomo's an absolute legend. Tomo just phoned me. He was like, mate, or he messaged me. He was like, do you want to do this Mattia Binotto chat? I was like, mate, to be honest with you, I haven't done the due diligence. It's been a tough day at work. Haven't got a lot of time. So yeah, just let me know the time, whatever. So I was like, Tomo's a legend. He's always been really, really good to me. Super benevolent. Tomo's the type of guy who you really want. I wanted to hate him. he's almost too perfect. When you meet him in person, he's just a nice bloke. Like genuine benevolence. It's almost unsettling how much of a good guy Tomo is. So I was trying. If he asked me to do him a favour, then I'll, even though I hadn't researched. So you'll see some of the commenters saying, "Oh, it's Cameron, or Cameron's coming here and he's adding to see you got zero will. He adds zero value to this equation." Like, mate, like 9 times out of 10, anytime you see me put on the camera on my 99.9 times out of 100, when I'm talking about F1, I will have researched. But that Mattia Binotto thing, time was against me, right? I didn't have time to do the proper due diligence that I normally would. And so I was talking about Mattia Binotto as if he was a CEO and not COO comes CTO. Oh, Cameron doesn't have any... Like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. There's a language. There is a type of bloody Nora. Who's this? Danny Rick's going at it. But it looks like M25 traffic settings out there at the moment. So yeah, no, it was an interesting chat. Always an interesting chat with Tomo, legend of the last lap. And his channel's doing, you know what I mean? He's a market leader, so privilege always to forget the channel, but to know Tomo as a man. He's just lots of lessons to be learned. Because I'll tell you this much: there's a lot of content creators who aren't as nice and well intended as Tomo is. Having 300 and something subscribers, I know for a fact that a lot of content creators will get to that number and lose their mind. Humility out the window settings, and Tomo's not that. And I think he's a credit to the space. All the Sky Sports interviews and whatever. Am I jealous of that? Well, a little bit, of course. That mainstream acceptance, but Tomo deserves that. Like, put some respect on his name, EC. Do you know what I mean? He's not bad. He's not a bad content creator and not a bad human being, which probably is more important now. You're falling behind. We're discussing driven, similar concepts, but more about Indy cars. Oh, is this the Netflix series? I see a Netflix series. I don't know if it's NASCAR. That I've got it on my list that I need to watch. T-minus 31 minutes to the end of the session. Oscar Piastri currently on provisional pole, if that's such a thing, in FP2. 142.475. Oh, the humanity. 0.002 adrift is 1. Maximilian Verstappen, Carlos Sainz, 0.6 adrift. Russell, Perez, Stroll, Norris, Hamilton, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg. I want to read it. I do want to read into this. Mate, I'll tell you this much. If McLaren are faster than Red Bull around here, Houston, we have ourselves a problem. That's proper inception. Like a proper tipping point, because Red Bull are so good around it. Remember a couple of years ago when it was when they were having to coast. They were having to lift and coast in the race through Eau Rouge because they were conscious that they'd effed up their ride heights, run it too low, and that there's a risk. The compression risk through Eau Rouge meant that they were going to be marginal on plank wear. But they were able to lift and coast through Eau Rouge, and there was basically no net downside. What? They just carried on as if nothing happened and beat everyone. Oh, the humanity. Well, what are we doing? King of window lickers. Yeah, mate. The Incredible Sulk. He's going to get it again. He's Lance Stroll. If I see him sat down there like that, I'll just have to react. Somebody said, oh, my guy ran candidate, called me out for being consistently inconsistent. Candidate said, how comes you go scorched earth on Lance Stroll, but then, what did Candidate say? Oh yeah, how comes you went scorched earth on Lance Stroll and Lewis, but then Max says what he says, and you don't ply your trade equally. Mate. You know what? Maybe I need to hold some corn on that. As the man who talks about never sacrificing truth and objectivity at the altar of partisanship or anybody, any one of those drivers' fan bases. Maybe I do need to hold some corn. Give me a second. I'll think of a rebuttal to that. It's a good shout from Candidate, that. Go on, here's my response to that. I feel like, you know what? I feel like Lewis and Max. Lewis, by virtue of his expertise and his excellence, times tenure, 7-time champion. His face will absolutely be on the Mount Rushmore of Formula One one day, if not already. So too with Max Verstappen. Listen, maybe I'm a glorious supporter. Max Verstappen has been incredible. He's been my reason to watch Formula One for the past 2 years. What are you talking about? Some of those performances, those bloody qualifying laps when he's just different level. Putting it round the outside of Charles Leclerc on a full tank of fuel, monsoon conditions, Suzuka turn 1. And what do you mean? So I would say, in my humble opinion, you can call me inconsistent all you want to, yeah, but I think Max, by virtue of his excellence over the past 24, 36 months, even if take this, say Max retires after 2021, I think even that alone is bodywork sufficient to put him in the pantheon of greatness as far as Formula One's concerned. Just that's it, not even anything that came before. Let's imagine that Max Verstappen retires at the end of the 2021 season. The fact that he was able to go toe-to-toe with Sir Lewis, Carl Davidson, Hamilton for 22 races that year. There were these drives, Cota, Mexico, mate, pick out any one of those drives. Yeah, he made mistakes, a couple of them noteworthy, but that season in itself, you want to paint it and frame it like one of the greatest seasons. If you rate Lewis Hamilton, then how, by extension, Max Verstappen raced him every race weekend and beat him sometimes. So I don't know. So that's my difference. That I feel like that's the source of my inconsistency. For the avoidance of doubt, I think Max Verstappen has earned himself racing room sufficient to do not quite what he wants or say what he wants. But if he wants to do a cheeky F-bomb on the radio, then I'm not gonna crucify him for that. Again, depends on your tipple, right? What is your tipple? Why do you watch Formula One? Are you here for the drama? Are you here because of Netflix's Drive to Survive? Maybe you're just here for Lewis Hamilton. Maybe you want to see what garments Lewis Hamilton comes on when he arrives in the paddock every single. Maybe that's your tipple. My tipple, in stark contrast, however, I want to see the best drivers in the best cars, and I want to see them push it as hard as they can, go right up to the limit, step over it, peer at it and step over it as far as what's possible in a Formula One car. And who's been doing that of late, if not Maximilian Verstappen? Put some respect on his name. King of the window liquor, says Lazy. Oh, Remco. Stroll being Stroll isn't new, right? That's my reason, my dislike for Aston Martin, I admit. Lawrence Stroll thinking he can buy a championship with a pink Mercedes or grey. You know what the problem is though, Remco? It sounded like Adrian Newey is more and more likely by the day to end up there. Had his second factory tour the other day, and I think he's got to take that as an option seriously, right? Because Lawrence Stroll has opened up the checkbook and 250 million factory online, new wind tunnel next year. Like, do you know what I mean? When Lawrence Stroll gets passionate, he says he wins. T minus 27 minutes to go. So, like, in that sense, what are we doing? Where's Adrian Newey going to go most likely then? I don't know. Between Aston Martin and McLaren, if indeed that's the dilemma, the ultimatum. 137 of you watching concurrently. Do me a favour and smash the like. T minus 25 minutes to the end of FP2 at the Belgian Grand Prix Spa-Francorchamps. Bernie Collins on deck. Lando Norris. Currently, your session lead, 142.2. Again, though, I think the track's evolving now, isn't it? Just a bit. 141 of you watching concurrently. Do me a favour, smash the like. Macon, legend. Lawrence's story of bringing fashion brands to Canada is kind of interesting. Lance doesn't seem to have the same sense of any of his dad's accomplishments. Just tough. Just the Nepo, baby. But you know what? The joke is with the next generation, I almost feel like I'm being harsh on the next generation. Imagine growing up in a world and never knowing a time where there was no internet. How can you not be entitled? Do you remember when they first brought internet in and the dial-up thing and even mobile phones when it was I don't know. They've just come in and all they know is iPhones. They don't remember the discovery or the invention even of the iPhone and how incredible it was to have an iPad or an iPod even. That this thing, you didn't even need a CD anymore or a tape. It just had next generation are privileged, man, and they don't even know it. So it's going to be in this inbuilt entitlement to where everything just works and they never know. And that's why, mate, I tell you this much. We're getting personal. If I look at my little man in 30, 40 years time, if I'm around that long, not to get all morbid, and I see him behaving in a way that's anything similar to Lance Stroll and the way that he behaved, you having a laugh, I would die instantly. I would just feel like a failure. Lazy, you're a legend. Genki says Stroll's father was given his job and lofty position as well. I did not know this. I genuinely didn't know it. I don't know the Stroll story, I'll be honest with you. But it's interesting. Doing quite well though now, eh? Do you know what I mean? I hate ESPN. Been trashed for years, says Chibi. Isn't the basketball going across to ESPN though? I heard they're getting rid of inside guys. Tomo grew on me when he brought you on. Brought his puppet. I know, Minton. Yeah, it's a genius. Tomo's got a little is it a sausage dog? Macon. Called Minton. Minton is too good a dog. I know he's just relaxed, isn't he, Minton? Tomo, don't know. Just very relaxed. Never seen a dog so chilled. I've got a neighbour who's got a dog like Minton and he just doesn't stop barking. I'm surprised he's even got vocal cords left. So loud and often is his bark. I think your multi-viewer is frozen. Camp, behave yourselves. No. Oh yeah, it has frozen. I know. It has frozen, hasn't it? Shoot. All right, let's go again. Come on, multi-viewer. Pull it, mate. Quote me happy, multi-viewer. This isn't good. After I talked so, let's get me up here for a second again. Cameron's ugly mug whilst he sorts out his beloved multi-view in the background. Right, what was I going to say to you? Technical difficulties. Turf RV watching concurrently. Thank you. Grateful to each and every single one of you adding for. I feel like this is going to be a big weekend. You know, and your spidey senses are tingling. I just feel like for Perez, for Max, for the Ferrari boys, I feel like there's so many stakes. It's like, I don't know. I've got a feeling. Something in my spidey senses is telling me it could be a bit techie. Right, here we go. What's I don't know what our mate Karun's talking about. 125 of you watching concurrently. Do me a favour, smash a like. Come on. Right, technical difficulties. Well said, bro. Well said. Times in multi-view not updated. Sorry, I'm behind. I ignore my technical noobness. Kevin Magnussen quicker for once in his life than Nico Hülkenberg. What's going on, David B? Couldn't remember his name. I'm not here to listen to people pontificate about imagined slights and displeasing actions of drivers. Oh, Harvin, this is very techie. Pontificate, sir. Imagine slights and so is the slight imagined, Harvin? I understand the perceived mismatch between perception and reality to which you are alluding, but genuinely, is the slight imagined, Harvin? I'll pitch the question back at you that way. McLaren is looking like they're dialing in their cars. They do look quick, but again, Red Bull are fact finding, right? Historically, they will always use these free practice sessions to get their feet underneath them, and then during the paid sessions, the proper ones, Q1, Q2, Q3 in the race, then we'll see them show their hand in earnest properly. What's the best type of dog, says David B. I do like a dog. But I don't know. I couldn't say like a bulldog or anything vicious like that. Like I don't know enough breeds of dog. Checo Perez is indeed, as at the time of writing, a second adrift of his teammate Max Verstappen. It's going to be important for him as well this way. So, rumour on the F1 curb is that depending on where Checo Perez finishes relative to Maximilian Verstappen, it will that could potentially be that could be the end of his stay of execution, right? Ayakomatsu. I've got a mate who used to go to Ayakomatsu's house, and they used to go to the same church. When I was a trainee accountant back in the day, when I was a young pup, I trained at a hospital in Kettering. At the time, I think Ayakomatsu was working for Lotus, and he was good friends with a chap that I worked with. Said that he's such a nice guy. Him and his wife, whose name evades me, but he's a decent guy. Ayo. He's one of those ones again who I think might be too nice for F1. You know what I mean? Might be a bit, I don't know. Why is Perez still in Red Bull? That's the real question. Wow, lazy. $30 million a year is probably why. That will play a part. So too will a debt of gratitude that Christian Horner needed to pay back to Checo Perez for supporting him in his lowest ebb during Christian Horner allegation gate. So too will the lack of clear contender, right? Who are you going to put in there? Liam Lawson, maybe. Danny Rick, perhaps. Yuki Tsunoda. Who's the one? If there was like a Max Verstappen that was, do you know what I mean? A clear and obvious choice to supersede the Mexican Minister of Defense, then I don't think they wouldn't still be having conversations about it. They would have just pulled the trigger already, right? But I don't think they can. Thank you for doing this. I can't watch FP2 for a reason. No, thank you, Recon, for jumping on. Chiba Perez is getting beat by K-Mag. Mate, standard. He's been getting smashed by Hülkenberg. Before last race, Hülkenberg in the last two races has scored more than Checo in his last six or what? It's a joke. Hey Cameron, according to FIA rules, Andretti can participate in Formula One, but they will not get shown in TV. Oh, I think that's nonsense. Bonapartes, what are we doing here? A 2-tier championship? I don't know. Got a beagle. But you better be like a hound. You're a big dog man, Macon. Lazy put him in Hajar's car. They can keep him under contract by downgrading him. Red Bull at the moment are looking at Perez and Ricciardo as not good enough. None of them are. That's what I'm saying to you, Jack. Like, none of them jump off the page as a potential solve. Yuki Tsunoda had a brilliant opportunity last Grand Prix, but then he stuck it in the barrier in quali. Yuki. You know what I mean? If he'd been pitched perfect, then that would have been the case that he made, but he wasn't pitch perfect. None of them have been perfect. Maybe Liam. Liam's probably been the best one, right? But then he lacks experience. They keep keeping under Madeline. You don't find drivers like Max that easy. Maybe once every 20 or 30 years. True, Madeline, but you understand the point. Don't pettifog me, Madeline. You understand the point that I'm trying to make. Were there a driver like that about, then that would be the driver that you would sub in happily, right? You would have to think less about it. Yuki's not going to Red Bull. Probably Lawson, says Jay. Smash that like button. You're a legend, Lazy. Who's this? Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a really good. Once I sort out my bloody voice, since I haven't been drinking enough water, I feel like this Grand Prix promises to be a really, really good one. I feel like, in fact, let me do something, chat. I've been getting a lot of criticism about my mic, and I want you guys to help me. Help me help you. Go on then, let's do something quickly. Which settings? Right, I'm gonna change my mic settings. You guys can tell me if I'm doing something wrong. So this is mic number 1. We're gonna vote. Mic settings number 1. This matters. This is really important. Which okay, look, these are mic settings number 1. I'm going to carry on talking ad infinitum. Lewis Hamilton is a brilliant driver, 7-time champion. Mic settings number 1. This is mic settings number 1. Max Verstappen has been incredible all year, every year, 24 months. He has been my reason to watch. That was mic settings number 1. I'm going to ask you guys to vote on it. These, however, are mic settings 2. Mic settings 2 now. You guys are going to need to tell me which one's best. Mic setting 1 or now mic settings 2. Mic settings, is that even a word? Maximilian Verstappen has been my reason to watch over the past 36 months, owing to his not insubstantial sporting endeavours, not least at Spa, Suzuka, Monaco Sector 3. You guys let me know. Mic settings 1 or 2. I'm on mic setting 2 now. 165 of it. This is bloody killing me. This is why I'm putting the vote. Mic setting 2 now. I won't put it on mic setting 1. You guys let me know. I'll switch it back if you guys need for me to. You missed 1. All right, so this is mic setting 2. Mic setting 2 still. I'm talking on mic setting 2. Blah, 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 blah. Lewis Hamilton is my favourite driver, 7-time champion, Mount Rushmore of F1, blah, 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 blah. And then this is back to mic setting 1. I'm on mic setting 1 now. Once again, it's mic setting 1. Lewis Hamilton is my favourite driver, despite what Cult LH and the fundamentalists within that crowd and demographic try to tell me, which of course is that I'm not a Lewis Hamilton fan because I like myself Maximilian Verstappen, especially when he delivers around tracks like Suzuka, Monaco, et al. This is mic 1. Microphone settings 1, mic 1, mic 1, mic 1. So close. And then I'll put it back onto mic 2. Oh, the humanity. There's no difference. This is mic 1 still. And I'll put it back onto mic 2. Okay, back on mic 2 now. Back on mic 2 now. As near as makes a difference, the same, eh? Nobody can tell even. Well, I'll just do whatever then, eh? 50-50. You got me not helping me at all. Oh, the humanity. What are we doing? I don't know what to do. Mic 1's better. Okay. 2 has too much stare. Go with mic 1. Mic 1. Two has too much popping. Okay. Right. So this one sounds better than chat. No sound is better, says Fitbit. How very dare you. Okay, 2 is just louder. I can actually hear the difference on my freaking laptop. So this one sounds better, chat. Leave it on mic 1. Okay. All right. I'll leave it on mic 1. 2 is just louder. They're very similar. At the moment, you're speaking loud and clear. Other times, you're low and the mic is further away. That's the difference. Okay. All right. Most useless poll ever. I know, Jits. But I need your help. Sometimes I've got to reach out to the community. I've been getting a lot of criticism. Oh, Cameron. One, just like I tell you, Matt's starting number 1. Yeah, okay. Let's go number 1 then. All right. Thank you, guys. Legends. I'll stick with number 1 for now. As a sound engineer, I'd say mic 2 plays the higher frequency more and has a slightly higher range. 2's got more gain, I think. I didn't change the gain. I'm just using limiters and stuff. Anyway, I'll tinker. You guys are legends. Thank you. Start some F1. We are T-minus 8 minutes away from the end of FP2. What have we learned? We learned that McLaren have a car that's dialed in, set up. We've learned that this could be an inception point as far as the convergence that is F1 in 2024, being that McLaren could potentially have a car capable of beating Red Bull in Red Bull territory. Oh, the humanity. As if the Spielberg ring in Austria wasn't bad enough, because again, Red Bull were always going to go well on their home track, were they not? However, if McLaren can beat Red Bull at Spa, oh, the humanity, then surely that gives credence to these rules and speculation, the conjecture that says that Red Bull had a conversation with the FIA and there was something illegal on their car. The FIA said, take it off and we'll never talk about it again. It will fade to black. We won't even need to break it as news. Typically transparent, Mohammed Ben Sulayman. Typically. Yeah, of course, mate. Current pace, 149.4 on mediums did Piastri. Everyone's nailing the mediums, apart from, interestingly, Charles Leclerc did a 149.7 on softs. So too Lando Norris, 151.1 on softs. 142.26 is currently your session lead, and that is, of course, one Lando Norris. Oh, the humanity. McLaren look quick, eh? Quick. Ferrari look quicker. You know who I'm quite liking? I need to go away and do some due diligence after this. But I like that Mercedes, not that they're slow, but they aren't trying to do these bloody vanity runs anymore. I think every time I see vanity runs, I think that just makes me think that you're just not fast. You know what I mean? I've got too much snare for my mic mod. Smash that like, chat. You're a legend, lazy. I need more cowbell. Praise only 1 second behind, mate. Only. Jeez. I know it's a longer track. Look at that. 1 minute 42, right? So this track is one of the longest, if not the longest, on the calendar currently in terms of time and distance. But, I mean, come on, as we get a shot of Christian Horner, Pierre Vacher, Hannah Schmitz, the dream team, eh? GP. Is GP going to be... No change, said Bonapartis. They're both giant. Harvey, are you genuinely a sound... Drop me a line, Harvey, if you're a sound engineer, chap, because I need to... I could use some help. Oh, let's go. All right. So we're only a couple of minutes away from the end of free practice 2. It's going to be taken. For the avoidance of doubt, I will be here 15 minutes before FP3. So we'll go half an hour before quali and half an hour before the race, I hope. Because we need to talk, don't we? And there'll be 8 p.m. stream. We'll go long tonight because I've been neglecting. Like we'll do a proper live chat and go forth because there are things that we need to talk to. Bruno Fermund's left. Bloody Max Verstappen is just shooting bullets and he's killing everybody. Lewis Hamilton got it. Craig Slater got it. Those who are talking about sim racing can get it also. So too Christian Horner get it because he's living in the clouds, not addressing some of the ills of that Red Bull team nor that Red Bull car. What happens next? Toto Wolff will be waiting and watching with bated breath to see how this plays out, how this transpires, whether there's the opportunity for him to nail himself a Maximilian Verstappen signature. Checo Perez being talked about by Ted Kravitz now. I mean, the problem is for Checo, mate, he's gonna get beaten. He's gonna get beaten. Yeah, how are you a second behind, chap? Max Verstappen's going to nail this on pole. Or, like, he'll be on the front row, right? More than likely. So good around Spa-Francorchamps is that chap. So he'll be there or thereabouts. Then demoted 10 places because of the new engine or power unit, whatever they're calling it these days. And then he'll work his way, very easy to overtake around this track. Then he'll work his way up and ultimately ended up nailing his teammate Checo Perez, just like he did in Miami last year. I mean, and Checo Perez's confidence, as if it wasn't already rock bottom, if you smell. Like, what are you going to do after that? Christian Horner will have himself a decision to make. That's what it will be. Michael says, is Binotto going to come back with scorched earth settings or wide-eyed? You know, Michael, I still think that dude is misplaced in those roles. Look, all right, CEO and CTO, maybe it's a CTO role, and maybe he's a placeholder in that COO role. CTO sounds decent enough, but he's not a leader, is he, Binotto? This is my issue. I don't think he's a race engineer. I don't think he's got Ross Brawn in him necessarily, or that kind of leadership jazz that Andrea Stella epitomises now. Do you know what I mean? Cowbell, can you guys hear a cat? Oh, I think you guys are joking. Make on UQV 60-second spot penalty. Checo cannot afford any issues no more. They're going to have that. So Mark has already said that he's flying into London the weekend after this Grand Prix. And they're going to have a proper conversation. Apparently there's a proper conversation had last race weekend at the Hungaro Ring, including the Avidra family, whom own 51% of Red Bull Energy Drinks as a company group. How can you put it in the barrier and expect Avidra to be saying anything positive about you? Do you know what I mean? As we get a cheek of it. This is the view that we're seeing of Max Verstappen. See, when Max is on board, this is what I mean about Max Verstappen. People are trying to ask me why I've got special dispensation for Max. When Max is on board like this, I just be quiet. I just shut up. Because I want to see, I want to ingest. I don't want to miss a thing. You know when you're at a concert and you see people filming, you're like, what do you do? Like, to put your phone away and ingest it. That's how I feel when, oh my gosh, look, they've put the gun barrels back on the car, haven't they? And the halos by Max Verstappen's head. Is Max on a hot lap? Because if he is, I want to see the onboard. Please. With a view to understand so I can learn, you know? That's what I want. Binotto's spineless. If what we see now is the end of quali, then Perez and Verstappen are quite close together on the grid. See if it may. Yeah, they were. Well, oh yeah, I see what you're saying actually. Blimey. So an overtaking. Oh, Checo, this is all up to you, chap. Make up your mind, mate. Like your destiny's in your own hands. Fail to perform and then get sacked, and then you haven't got anyone to blame but yourself. Checo, what are we doing? So look again, DM'd you, mate. You're a legend, Harvey. Thank you so much. And thank you all, by the way. elite peddlers, members, and if you want to become a member, that will always be top right of your screen in the chat. Members, guys that are just in the chat watching videos, engaging in the conversation, like, mate, I don't want to say fan channel, but I'm trying to build a community. And again, I'm just the name above the door. This is yours more than it is mine. I just want to have these F1 conversations in a way that's edifying, respectful. We're going to disagree. Some of you lot will hate Max Verstappen when I'm talking about him. Some of you lot will hate Lewis Hamilton when I want to get on my Lewis Hamilton bandwagon. Do you know what I mean? And that's fine. Like we've got to knock the edges off of each other. All are welcome. Exactly this. Perez leading the WC. Perez leading the WDC as well. Oh my gosh, I was going to say, Jay. I was like, what's Jay talking about? How is he leaving? All right, checkered flag for the session. Norris, Piastri, Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Russell, Ocon, Magnussen, Perez, Lewis Hamilton. Bloody Nora. Mercedes nowhere, but again, I feel like I've some solace that they're not doing these vanity runs anymore. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody. Like, dude, the fact find. Siska Norris, Lando's mom in attendance. I think Lando's do some more Scotch stuff a little bit later. When we talk, 8 PM British Standard Time. We'll go through it later. I'm not happy with Lando. I think Lando's got a flipping cheek. I'll give you a quick preview. I don't like the way that he talked to Lewis Hamilton. Because you wouldn't dare talk to Max Verstappen, your mate, like that, because you know you'd get something coming back the other way, just by virtue of the fact that Lewis Hamilton is so passive, so meek and mild, and so in his shell, in his older age, at the ripe old age of 39, soon to be 40. That doesn't mean, Lando, that you can take the mick. You made the decision for yourself to give that Grand Prix to your mate, Oscar Piastri. And I say give loosely because Oscar absolutely deserved to win that Hungarian Grand Prix. I don't know why McLaren affected that strategy for no reason. Like, who are you defending to? Lewis Hamilton was so far down the road. Like, what's the point? But the second that you made that decision, don't then get out. Hold it, Lando. Don't then get out the car and try and push your chest out and vent in the direction of Sir Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton. What are you talking about, Lando? I liked you. Despite what my mates were telling me that I shouldn't like you, that you were a closet douchebag. And now, true to form, as happens sometimes, sometimes you've got to walk it back. I'm not sure Lando's, at least of late, with his newfound fame and fortune and success, I'm not sure that Lando Norris is who he purports to be. And he wants to make a decision, right, because you can't wear too many caps. I feel like the conversation I want to have with Lando is the one that Joker has with Batman. Don't think that you're one of them. You want to be one of them, Lando, but you're not. You're not like them. You're different, chap. Make up your mind. You want to be a Michael Schumacher or a Max Verstappen. You want to be from that cloth, Ayrton Senna settings, but you're not, at least not yet, and you want to make that decision. Because failing to understand, Lando, who you are really, genuinely, at core, as at July 2024, is going to end you up losing some championships, chap. Even if you need to turn full heel, go full Bane settings. Now, one of those ones. I was molded by the dark, not created by it. You were merely adopted by it. If that's what it needs to be, Lando, if that's the gap analysis to get you over the line, then lean into it, chap. It's not being a nice guy, mate. Sometimes you need to steal 25 points off your teammate if indeed you harbour aspirations to win yourselves a championship. Got to crack some eggs sometimes to bake a cake. Do you know what I mean? Am I being too harsh? Too matter of fact? Too curt for this flotsam and jetsam F1 snowflakery generation? Potentially. We'll talk more later because there's more. We need to talk about Lewis. We need to talk about Max. We'll talk about Lando. We'll talk about Red Bull and their car. We'll talk about all of this stuff. 8 PM British Standard Time. Be there, be square. But between now and then, the prosecution rests. No further questions, Your Honour.